Architecture is, of course, it is art. I don't know. I don't know if it's a way to be good or bad architect, but it's a way to be honest. I think drawing is a way of thinking. You create a dialogue between you and the history. That is the most important role of architecture. I know that one of the biggest themes in my drawings is the contrast between contemporary and past. Many of people say, God, it is ugly, and many of people say, oh, it could be nice, and this new layer together with old buildings makes something very, very interesting, very sharp. I think drawing is like a muscles of your mind, and I think with the drawing you create your ideas, you continue your ideas, you create ideas while you draw, without mind, even by drawing you create your ideas. And you see this wonderful Art Deco columns with the balls like a capitals. Also, I know. I think for 200 years nobody could imagine these. Even Boulez, drawn architecture is a piece of art. Architectural drawing is an end piece of art. So we have to find another way.
Sergei, welcome to this exhibition called Out of Context. We are presenting projects from 7 different countries by 7 architects. These are very different projects. This is why they are called Out of Context. They are entirely misaligned. We are tracing very different origins of ideas, what inspired different architects, and I am trying to discover what makes them very individual, very personal, very unique, and unlike anyone else. And this is why it's out of context, but also it's out of context with the context of the profession and discourse, architectural discourse, because right now everybody talks about sustainability, everybody talks about adaptive reuse, what kind of materials are ecological, but I really want to talk about ideas, architectural ideas, what architects are inspired by. And so now we had this morning several roundtable discussions with the participants, and now I'm interviewing delegates such as yourself. I want everybody to share their personal views and ideas about the current state of architecture. And so I welcome you to this exhibition. And I want you to start with introducing yourself and what is your role in this World Architectural Festival? What do you do here?
Yeah, dear Valodas, thank you very much. As a first of all, big compliment. I have told already to you that you make great exhibitions, and I had the honor to be part of some of them, and it will be also hopefully in the future. So far, I think also this exhibition is also a little bit in the positive sense out of context of all this very pragmatic surrounding what we find. It is well organized, as wonderful, and a lot of very interesting content. I'm all day on lectures and hear and learn, but in any way, what you do is something really outstanding. So what I am, my name is Sergei Tchoban. I'm an architect, native Russian, but working already since over 30 years in Berlin. And I love Berlin. I love somehow also German country as a second, my own country, what has invited me very warmly and given me a chance to work as an architect there, to be professional architect there, owner of the office at least. And here I'm on nearly every World Architectural Festival because I think it is very informative and interesting. And some of my projects are every year selected, what I think it's also very good sign for me and possibility to compare what I do with what colleagues from all over the world do. It is less a festival of Europeans, to be frankly. I have seen here only very modest part of, for example, German architects or Austrian architects, German-speaking architects, or architects from Switzerland, but a lot of from Australia, New Zealand, China, Brazilian, as many countries of South America, of New Zealand, of Australia, of USA, of course. And that is for me a very good sign because I don't see them so widely somewhere. Of course, some what are published, but not such a wide range, and that is very good for me. So I also this year I present 2 projects. One I presented today for the realized offices, and a second one quite interesting about future project, abandoned tower what I reuse in the reuse, but very interesting reuse in art foundation, but the tower what cannot be used because it has very small footprint. And I do it with my experience with my Tchoban Foundation, what has also very small footprint, so I know how it works, and I try to realize in this second project what I explain tomorrow. But this project got already 1 prize because
Congratulations.
here, yeah, thank you. Here there is another festival WAF X, and in this festival they select projects what are imagined projects, what they say, and one of them is this tower got a prize, and for this reason I make another lecture in the hall about this project in the session of this WAF X festival winner, and some discussion about cultural reuse projects around some projects, also around my project. So I have two small speeches tomorrow, but also what I am interested, I prepare huge international conference about problems and potentials in the apartment development in Berlin, because Berlin has now a lot of problems with the development of apartments, with the development of living areas, and with some town planning reasons we got like a turbo program, so a speedy program to make them faster, but still we see that a lot of deficits are there, and I prepare with 3 other colleagues, well-known colleagues, this international conference, also with the strong participants of the government of Berlin, governor of Berlin, and all government. So it will be a huge one with more than 2,000 people, with a huge pavilion, ICC, what is well known in Berlin as a heritage from beginning of 80s. What is also abounded, and it will discuss what kind of function this pavilion will get, but we make that in September next year. It will be a big event for Berlin, big event for new development of new ideas for town planning for Berlin, and for that I look especially in the section housing good people, and have found 2-3 very good offices what are really very progressive with their projects. They are invited already. Of course, I will discuss with my partners about it, but already I am sure that are very good candidates. So for this reason, I was also quite useful on this place. It was quite practical for me to learn new people. What this festival, of course, makes. Of course.
You just mentioned that you participated in so many WAF festivals before. I wonder what brings you here, why do you keep participating, what makes this festival very special and unlike other festivals?
As I know, European context I know very well, and that is not a festival for European context, but it is, for me personally, as European architect, the only one possibility to see world context in very wide range. So not only the projects what are really highlights, like Sumter opens LACMA. Okay, nobody nobody have seen. I haven't seen, but everybody knows from the publication. But on the other side, there are a lot of great projects from New Zealand, from Thailand, from China, from Brazilian, from Argentinian, from Australian, also from many countries. And US, and for me it is very interesting to see them, to see how the people explain about the projects, what kind of problems other countries have, especially by housing, what I was all day except of my own presentation. I've learned a lot also in the discussion between judging and participants, what will be highlighted, what is important for judging, because I think the judging was just in this section very clever. They ask not only questions what are belonging to project, but also belonging to the problems or maybe progressivities of that countries, as for a very different behaviors of life, and that was really very interesting. And I don't know some other event where I can learn this. So far, I am quite very easygoing here and use the time and use the interruption from the all day hard work to see wonderful city Miami. I've been already one time here, but another
So
time.
this is your second time.
My second time in Miami, but I also am very glad to hear what our colleagues explain about their projects. I think I'm quite get quite a lot of knowledge with.
You travel around the world all the time. You've been to many architectural festivals. You know what kind of projects are getting built around the world. I wonder what you feel, what you think about the current moment in the profession in architecture. Do you think we are in crisis? Do you think architecture is prospering? There are many opportunities. What would you say? How would you assess the current situation, and if it's good for architects around the world right now?
Well, I think never was architecture so wide and in so many countries on slightly different ways, but also somehow, of course, with net of globality over all countries, but with a lot of specifics. For example, last weekend I've been in the Biennial in Antalya. I had a participation and speech there. Antalya is the oldest Turkish biennial, and we will hopefully together take part in Buenos Aires, where we have been for now 2 years, so 1 year, also more than 1 year in 24. So all these countries have now huge activity of architectural life and architectural projects of different sizes, and they are all somehow free to create new ways. And that is, I think, the most interesting, that the level of architecture in very different countries increases and increases. That's what I see, and that was what I am really very interested about. Of course, we have some global problems like climate, like reuse. What is also a problem of climate, we cannot waste so much as we wasted before, because the population became to be very big, the level of comfort became to be very big, the demand for everybody to have a nice life increases. And in this case, we produce, we make a lot of architecture, we make a lot of bad architecture, we make some good architecture, but everywhere it is really a huge production of architecture. And it is interesting to see on which way it goes in the different countries. And you can see it, of course, on these festivals. And for me, it is quite amazing. And I would say the process is so active as never. I wouldn't say we got a masterpieces on every corner, but the process is so active as never. That's my personal feeling.
You play many different roles in the profession. In a way, you attack it from many different fronts, many different sides. You know the profession inside out. You follow global events and many projects. I wonder, I want to ask you a very unexpected question. What kind of architecture brings you joy?
Well, for nowadays, we know both that the architectural language since over 100 years became to be completely different to what it was before. And I think there is no reason more to try to repeat the language of past, because we will be never so good, because craftsmanship became to be not so elaborated anymore, and the way of prefabrication will be more and more precise. And in this case, it cannot be evaded that we can do on the same way with a higher level of craftsmanship as the house of 19th century today. We try to do that. I have seen such projects from China, for example, but the level is lower, and I don't think we can repeat it. So we have to find another way, and this finding another way, that is what make me interested. I mean, this way could be more pragmatic, or could be more artificial or elaborated, what your exhibition is about, but this way will be in any case very contrastful. And you know my drawings, we are working together, you as curator and me as a author, and you know that one of biggest theme in my drawings is the contrast between contemporary and past. I think it is even the most important problem of all cities, the recognizable new layer of contemporary architecture, recognizable in good and bad sense. Many of people say, God, it is ugly, and many of people say, oh, it could be nice, and this new layer, together with old buildings, makes something very, very interesting, very, very sharp, like a sharp soup, you know. It is sharp, but it's nice to eat. And in this case, that is what makes me, I think, interested, because I don't think we can speak today about nice towns, because I am still very old-fashioned, and nice town for me is Paris from Osman, or my birthday town, St. Petersburg. But we cannot create these towns anymore. To be very frankly, if I see all these works and all these contemporary towns where these works are implemented, they are not a towns what are nice in this traditional sense, but they are interesting, they are creative, they are contrastful, they are sharp on some corners, they have a lot of very, very sharp discussions between houses, between populations, and that is what makes me interested.
You travel around the world all the time. I wonder, as an architect with a very keen eye for architecture, what kind of qualities do you look for when you visit other architects' buildings?
I look for sharp mise-en-scènes in the towns. Once more, not a mise-en-scène what everything is very, very much in harmony. It is not possible. From my point of view, with a contemporary architecture, much more it is possible to make in sharp contrast this dialogue, and I look for contrastful, by very tasteful dialogues between contemporary and past, between these layers. Because for me, the towns or architecture, even the architecture of Miami, I was now 2 hours to lunch, and have seen these wonderful layers of Art Deco town, of town now, of town of 60s. And that is for me like a book of architecture. I wouldn't say it is great. I wouldn't say, for example, the architecture of this convention center is great. I wouldn't say. And wouldn't say the contrast between this architecture and the neighbor house is something great. But that is wonderful, interesting. Or this cinema of 30s, if you go around the corner left and you see this wonderful
Art Deco,
yeah, columns with a balls like a capitals. Also, I know. I think for 200 years nobody could imagine these, even Boulez, to make such a columns. And now we have such a range of different ideas, and Roy Lichtenstein is staying before, and somehow 30s, somehow pop art, skyscraper of 30s, Art Deco skyscraper, and then the new skyscrapers of Miami Beach. Well, it is very, very interesting to read, because you read the history of country, you read the history of population. That is what I'm really very interested.
What would you say is the role of a contemporary architect? What is your role? How do you see it?
I would say to find these mise-en-scènes and to make them, these ensembles, interesting, and not too pragmatic, of course. Also, to see this dialogue as a very spontaneous and very interesting dialogue between old, because something is every time older as you do, even if it's 10 years old, it's already another population, another generation. So you create the dialogue between you and the history. That is the most important role of architect.
And I have a provocative question. Do you think architecture is art?
Architecture is, of course it is art. Of course it is art. You know, I was studying in the Academy of Art, as you know, and there is a round courtyard in the middle of this academy, and that's saying architecture, sculpture, painting, and education. Also education in the sense that you education of behavior. So so you have to be learned as a cultivated architect or artist, and with architecture, sculpture, and painting, you have 3 huge columns of traditional art. And of course, architecture is art. To create spaces, art. To create ensembles, of course, it is art. And all you create around architecture and about architecture is also art, like architectural drawing, for example, what I do and collect and exhibit.
Do you have a recipe for how to be an interesting architect?
I think to learn cities, to learn with the eye, not to learn with reading books, but to learn with the eye, to learn houses, to check up what you like or what you dislike in the towns, what kind of relationship of houses you like or dislike, and then to try to get what you like and to hope that what you like, the other people would like also or would be interested about. I don't know if it's a way to be good or bad architect, but it's a way to be honest. And I think with architects it's important to be honest.
About a decade ago, you started your foundation and Museum for Architectural Drawing in Berlin. Why did you do it? Why do you want to focus our attention on the art of drawing, architectural drawing? Why do you think it's important? Why do we have to preserve it? And what is your goal with that institution, that museum? What do you want to achieve?
I think drawing is a way of thinking. Thinking with drawing, projecting with drawing. I had a spectacular exhibition of Stephen Hall, and it was Drawing as Thoughts was a name. And my own exhibition, what you curated in Paul Rudolph Foundation, was a section of the mind. So drawing has somehow something to do with living, with thinking. And if I don't run anymore, so my body will be someday not there because my muscles would be not there. And I think drawing is like a muscles of your mind. And I think with the drawing, you create your ideas, you continue your ideas, you create ideas while you draw, without mind, even by drawing, you create your ideas. So far, I like to give to the people a chance to see what the architect has thought before he built, and how nice is the architecture in the drawn substance. And the drawn architecture is a piece of art. Architectural drawing is an end piece of art. It is not a preparation for the building, but is a real end position of piece of art. So all them makes architectural drawing as a piece of art inside of architecture, as an art section. And that's why I think it's very important. It was now there, and I wanted to do it, and I did it, and I love it, and I continue the work on. We are 12 years old, and I'm, to be frankly, very proud to do this.
And finally, I want you to give a piece of advice to a young architect. What would you advise young architects to focus on? How to, explore architecture, and what makes, what could they do to really explore the subject of architecture?
I think for young people today, it's especially important to be very open for any way, because with artificial intelligence, we have no now friend but also concurrent. We have to be something to give to artificial intelligence new ideas. Otherwise, artificial intelligence gives new ideas to us. And that's why for young people it's important to ask themselves every time what we do like to bring in the architecture. What are our ideas of our generation? And in this case, I think it's very interesting development, very interesting continuity of the development. They have to be very honest and very carefully seeing the houses, seeing the architecture, to understand what they like, not from newspapers, from magazines or from internet, but what they like as architectural mise-en-scène from seeing. And to be honest to themselves and create the ideas what they believe are new, and then the success will be there.
Well, thank you so much, Sergei.
Thank you.